All right, we're going to continue the meeting. We called it over at 5 o'clock. We had a few non-publics, but I'd like to start with a Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody could please stand.
Just stand up, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. To the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Explain the time difference at 5 o'clock postings and things, so clarify that.
Yes, I think we should. Maybe we can talk about it when we talk about the bylaws.
However you want to do it, just so that people understand what transpired.
All right. First, we need to decide on our non-public session minutes. The first non-public we had was 91A:32J. How does the board feel? I think we should seal these indefinitely.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The second non-public was also 91A:32J. I think we should seal these for 6 months.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the third one was also 91A:32J. I'll make a motion that these be sealed for 6 months as well.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next on the agenda, we have public comment. Anybody from the public like to make comment? John? If you please just state your name.
My name is John Coward, Milton Cemetery trustee. I just want to spend just a minute of doing a thank you to the public. Saturday we had a major volunteer cleanup at the new Milton Mills town-owned cemetery. I had an outstanding group of 15 to 16 people come and did a superb job supporting all our loved ones for the town of Milton. And I'd like to thank them all.
Thank you. Do I have any other public comment?
Larry Brown. I understand from conversation with Roger Liddy just before things started that he is coming up for renewal for his salvage yard operation. I go down Appleby Road fairly often, and I've known him for 20 years, and I have seen junkyards in various places in several states. He is a local businessman and operates a good business. Just wanted to mention that from member of the public.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, I'm not seeing any, so I'll close public comment. Just like to ask the board if the board's okay with moving the 2018 goal update to the beginning, simply because we have a department head here that would like to comment on it, and at this family commitment that he really needs to get to. So
Certainly.
if the board agrees, I'd like to move that. And
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah.
all right. So 2018 goal update. The Board of Selectmen had a workshop back on April 18th, where we met with the department heads and talked about several different ideas of what we should be working on and what we can be doing this year and in the upcoming years to improve the town of Milton. We have compiled a list. Each department head has individually ranked which ones they feel are most important, and we now have that in front of us. I believe the police chief has a proposal for us that he'd like to talk about. If the board agrees, I'd like to let him speak. So I invite Chief up.
So at the last department head meeting, we all talked about all of the items that had been on the list. We went through and did the survey, and then we were all looking at a lot of the items on the list. A lot of the items on the list we could probably break down into different groups and try to allow us to get them done a little bit quicker and easier for the entire town. One of the ideas, because it looks like a large number of these are revitalization of the two villages, both Milton and Milton Mills. One of the ideas that we're basically stealing it from another community instead of recreating the wheel. Wolfboro has what is a village vision committee, and it is given a charge by the Board of Selectmen. That's the handout I gave you guys. And they basically do the work for you guys. You give them the charge. It's volunteers from the community. They come in, they do the research with the residents, what the residents want to see happen in downtown, what their biggest priority is, what they're willing to spend money on, those type of things, and what direction to push to basically clean up both of the villages and move the villages where we need to move them. Another couple of ideas that we thought were, there were many of the items that we could hopefully pull in some of the other groups and committees that are already here in town, like the Conservation Committee, on some of the things, the park in Milton Mills off of 125. Get the Conservation Committee to come in, and hopefully they can help us revitalize that and get those trails on the trails maps as well that connect off of the back of the Farm Museum. If we can pull in some of those committees, we can shrink our goals list, we can shrink that down significantly, so that there are very few goals that the board and the department heads actually have to work directly on, and we can get accomplished this year. And some of those goals that we saw that we could probably get done, that were not in process and were not that were outside of the revitalization of both villages, are on this list. So I didn't make a photocopy of this, but you guys can take a look at it. But you'll see that, so B was for budget and Board of Selectmen. SRO is already in process. The SRO grant type things, those are in process conversations, but they're also budgetary conversations. The downtown parking would be revitalization. Most of these are all revitalizations. The I's are stuff that's already in process by the different department heads, and in process by different departments already. The C items were the different commissions that are already in town, that we wouldn't have to recreate the different commissions, and we could look at getting them involved, and hopefully they could help us move forward on those goals. If those aren't something that they can help us with, then that's a goal maybe we look at later on, and it's not fast forward and push through. I don't know what the outcome of the survey was on what the highest scores for most of the things were, but when we looked at it, because the list was so big, we were trying to find a way that we could get the most number of projects done without bogging everybody down so much that we get nothing done, ultimately. And with, like I said, you guys saw the list as well. And I don't know how the survey finished.
Just so everybody out there, these are all the items that were on that list he's talking about.
They weren't, I mean, there were some high hitters, but they were all relatively kind of close.
Right.
Really, there was none that really shined to the top. So.
Nothing that punched itself out. But I think if we can categorize some of these and start something like a village vision committee or village heritage committee, something like that, that will take a lot of those projects right off the list, and it'll put it back into a separate group that'll answer directly to the Board of Selectmen. The group doesn't have decision-making abilities or money-spending abilities, but they do the research for the board, and they bring it back to the board. You give them a specific charge on what to do, and you give them a deadline on how to do it, and they come back to you with that. You guys then review it, make a decision if you want to move forward with what they've reviewed and what they've done. And if you don't want to move forward with it, you give it back to them and have them do more work and extend their time frame. That allows us to move those things a little bit farther forward and get a large number of projects accomplished in a shorter period of time. And then you can see a lot of the projects that are already in progress by different departments that were goals that we want to accomplish this year. Those projects are already in progress, so we can move those projects forward by the department heads themselves. And then when we need assistance from the different, either the Board of Selectmen or the Budget Committee or the school boards, we can go to those committees and try to get the push going there too.
Can we make a copy of that?
Yeah.
So you can have.
Get your hand up for the public hearing.
We're almost at that. All right, does the board have any comments?
Wait for them to come back, or?
And I said, what's the next steps? I mean, they
So-
send it back to go in agreement and then throw it back to them, or?
My personal opinion is I think probably we should go back home and review this.
Right.
And then maybe have another workshop where we work
And the only
out
thing-
some details.
The only concern I have is, next time is make sure everybody's included in the assessment. As far as, I'll make sure all the department heads, there were some that were missed,
They didn't do the survey?
the survey. I mean, when I saw the survey, I was like, I didn't remember doing the survey, and I was, we were part of the meeting, and it was like, so I didn't have a say, I don't think, did you, either one of you?
No.
And then.
No, I didn't send it out.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so there's others that got missed, so that, I mean, not that it's gonna make any difference, because it's kind of right down the middle of the board, so.
And that's, unfortunately, that's what we thought. That's how I thought the vote was going to end up coming out, was everybody was going to vote pretty close to each other, because we all think very close to each other. But I think there's a lot of information in those packets. Wolfboro looks like they did a good job. Bruce Woodruff, I think, had a very big part in writing that, so if you have a lot of questions on it, you can probably pick Bruce's brain.
Maybe a workshop with Bruce
Right,
would be
would be
the
a
way to
good.
go forward. So. All right.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So do we want to try to set a,
Date to,
do we want to try to do a workshop next Monday?
that'd be great.
What's the date?
14th.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Bruce is available, I guess, but if, does the board have a consensus that Heather could talk to Bruce and email us individually to figure out if we can get a date to work?
I can't do the 14th.
Okay.
What's your next available?
Week 21st open. That's board meeting. Correct?
We do before the next board meeting. We do it before the next US meeting.
Yes, that
Do
would
it
be
at
good.
4 o'clock,
On the 20.
21st.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let me just check
Bruce is
first.
available, and then you have to let us know.
Yep.
All right. So we all set with that?
Please, yeah, can look for that too.
All right, now it is 6:30, so we are going to have to jump around and we are going to have to do the landlord public hearing. So it's 6:30 and I'll open the public hearing on the Town of Milton landlord ordinance. And at this point, I'll open it up for public comment. Pursuant to the provisions of New Hampshire RSA 540, actions against tenants, owners of restricted property must file a statement with the town clerk of Milton. The form shall provide the name, address, and telephone number of a person within the state who is authorized to accept service of process for legal proceedings. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to comment on this? Please state your name first.
Larry Brown. Just a general question. Could you please define the property owners involved by class? What are the specifications of the properties which are covered? Are they more than 2 apartments, apartments which are maintained by an owner that is not on the premises, properties which have more than 4 units, properties, and what in the authority of the town must now be provided? There's been considerable discussion about parking, for example, and I'm interested in knowing what authority the town has or is trying to assert for the provision of parking.
So I don't think this has anything to do with parking. It is strictly
No problem. I didn't
to
no
provide
disrespect.
the name, address, and telephone number of the person who is in the apartment building that is renting,
Okay.
basically.
I have friends who
That
have an apartment in their private residence. You know, a mother. We now have the accessory dwelling unit. Is that covered? Is that person a landlord covered under this ordinance?
No.
No, because that's an in-law apartment.
That if that apartment is rented to someone who is not a family member, does it then become covered?
It would still not be covered because the person who owns the premises lives on premise.
So this is
Occupied.
primarily for an off-site.
Correct. It's an apartment building where the owner is off-site. If the person lives on-site, it's their home, and they have an in-law apartment that they end up renting out to someone who's not an in-law, we can still serve that person at their legal residence.
Thank you.
All right. I don't see any further comment.
I'm Joni.
Yes, you know.
My name is Jono.
Joe.
Yes.
Your turn's coming.
All right, so I will close the public comment, and I will now close the public hearing.
Yes.
Okay. All right, now we start back up here, Board of Selectmen bylaws. From Michelle. Copy with the red markers from Michelle. All right, so at the last workshop session, we worked on the bylaws. We took we looked at several different surrounding town bylaws, and we created our own. And we have a draft of them right here in our packets. So I ask the other board members, have any comments?
No, I think we pretty much discussed everything that I reviewed was what we discussed at
Yep, I'm good with it.
the meeting.
So I do have one copy here with a few comments on it. I don't know if we want to go through each one. Most of them are just correcting some spelling and
Verbiage,
grammar
right,
things,
right.
verbiage. So I don't know if we want to quickly look at these and
Do we have a copy?
vote on this one. I only have that one copy. I mean, at any time we can change these and adapt them as needed.
What? No, these are the ones Michelle just gave. She made crop changes or something.
Oh, I thought we were providing copies.
No, she just gave Ryan a copy.
Oh.
I think for right now, we should
Right.
leave it as written, and if we need to, we can adjust it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Going forward.
We can do it, yep.
I just think, my personal opinion is
That's
Yeah,
right.
go ahead.
something in
Yep,
place to
yep.
Right,
start
take
with.
them, put them in place, and we can.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll make a motion. to
There was
accept them
just
as
one other thing that
Second.
isn't in here, and that is on page 5. Any information provided to any individual selectman shall be provided to the rest of the board. And this was intended to be by the town administrator. I just think we need to add that in there.
Okay.
At the same time.
That's why you all
Yep.
get
Right, at the same
So,
time.
all right, so I'm gonna make a motion to accept these with the corrections written on them.
Yep.
And you seconded
Second
it?
it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
so. They're all accepted for everything.
Yeah, so we'll have to go through and make the right corrections.
Okay. What is this?
Don't worry about
Those
that.
don't count those?
No.
Okay. You do, that's me.
Yeah, that's,
So take that out.
change it to here
Okay.
to clarify.
What about this?
No, we're leaving no questions, we said.
Leaving them or taking them out?
Take them out.
All questions are out? Okay. See? Not at all.
That's just a comment. That
Okay.
has to be added in.
Okay. Yep. Just want to make sure we get these all correct before we type them up. Okay. Kind of on track there.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. Next on the agenda, old fire station sale update. You want to do it or you want me to do it?
No, I don't want to do it.
Okay, so the sale of the old fire station. It has been a cluster from day one, to say the least. And we still haven't sold it. It's been a constant, I guess I want to say, battle of different information coming up as time has gone on. And we recently have just come across some information that at the end of the day, we do not have the authority to sell the building unless it goes up for town vote because of the way the town inquired it.
Could you
So,
repeat that, sir? I didn't hear that.
so at the current time, new information has just come out, and we've found that we do not have the authority to sell the old fire station. If we want to sell it, we need to put it out as a warrant article to be able to sell it.
So, with that being said, the problem being is because it was gifted to the town of Milton, correct?
That is
All right, so
correct.
why don't we give it back to the people? Give it back, I'm serious, because it was donated by my family. Give it back, and then we'll sell it to $1 to the town of Milton. Would that simplify things?
I'm sure we'd have to get.
I mean, obviously, we're gonna have to get a legal opinion, but I mean, if it was gifted, it was my family's farm, and then when they put the road through, they moved it over. So it was gifted by my family, so we'll give it back to my family, we'll give it back for $1 in my name. So, I mean, if
Why
they,
did you put it up to, for bid?
Excuse me, sir, but there's no public comment.
Huh?
There's no public comment.
so anyways, it was my grandparents' farm, you know, and they moved the barn when they put the road through, and then they didn't have any, so they just said, well, take the property, so. If you know, if the town's attorney said that's legal, if they, you know, do a deed search and find out where it was gifted, if we give it back to the.
That
Nothing
would-
ventured, nothing gained. I mean, at this point, we've gone back and forth so many times
I can
with
ask
that,
them.
with that building. I mean,
All right, so
If
I
they-
abstain. Or excuse myself.
I will talk to them. I have to, as you know, I have to talk
Right,
to them again. I'm not
so-
going to text them again about this tonight
Right.
because
No. Okay,
you'll
so the
contact the
consensus
attorney.
of the two board members, because Andy is recusing himself,
Mhm.
is to contact the attorney about the proposal.
Proposal to give
Give it.
back and then buy back.
Buyback for
proposal.
dollar.
Okay.
That was what I was gonna use, but I couldn't think of it, so.
All right, next on the agenda, board and commission appointments. Heather?
Okay. All right. We've been working on this. We did notice there was a typo. I think I sent you all an email today that somebody
Right.
was missing. We have several boards and commissions who have shown some interest today, or over the last couple weeks because we posted them. So, to begin with, on the Townhouse Committee, we've had one applicant come forward, that is Lynette McDougall. On the Recreation Commission, we've had 4 people come forward, and we have 2 openings. Economic Development, the question has come up, do they have to be a resident of town, and they do not. We've had 3 come forward. And,
How many positions?
Yeah, you have to speak louder, huh?
sorry, I'm looking for my mic here.
So, you
Is the
just
mic
speak.
not on?
No, just talk loud.
Okay. The Economic Development, we have 3 applicants for those positions, and they do not have to be a resident
How
of
many
town.
positions?
How many openings?
We think I believe there's 3 at this point.
There is 3.
And then for the library alternate, it's just an alternate position that you're going ahead. There is another board that Ryan will speak of later that has some openings as well. So that is what we have to deal with tonight.
So how many for the townhouse stewardship are open, do we know?
It was said when I read the bylaws, it was up to 11, so we have quite a few openings, like another 6 at least.
Okay.
So we definitely need to keep advertising for that and posting and asking people, because that's a vital committee that we really need to get going on.
Yeah, none of us can hear you.
We can't hear you, sweetie, at all. I'm sorry.
I need a megaphone, I'm sorry. He just asked about the townhouse committee, and I said, according to what the bylaws said, there should be 11. So we definitely need, that's a vital committee in town, we definitely need a lot more candidates for that committee, and we need to keep posting. So. You all have letters? You all have letters in your packets of the different applicants or information, and where to go from there.
And you've posted this
We
on
posted
the
it
website with a
on the website. We put
deadline of,
May 1st. So I would like to have the board's consensus or vote to allow me to repost Townhouse, repost the other committee you're going to speak of tonight, and depending on what happens with your appointments tonight.
I'll just mention now, the Historical Society, which I don't think we've looked at all.
No.
And we're not even, I mean, is the Board of Selectmen the correct board to be appointed to that? We don't even know that.
No, we haven't had a chance to
So-
look at that. But if we can,
I think we need to
I will do research on that.
research that. Does the board agree?
Oh, yes,
Mhm.
definitely.
Absolutely.
But after your visit, you said they need help as well.
Are we prepared to go ahead and make these appointments tonight so that we can get these committees up as closer to
I think
full operating as we can?
I think so.
I think so, absolutely.
I think it's up to you.
All right, so let's start with the townhouse.
Miss Lynette McDougall, welcome to the Townhouse Stewardship Committee.
Second.
And if you have 10 friends,
I think even
we might be able to find you door prize.
Should not 10, but
No, we appreciate your help on that, really.
All right, so we'll roll call.
Make a motion for Lynette.
Second?
All in favor?
Right.
Aye. All right. Next, we have the Rec Commission.
there's one
How many
name missing.
openings?
There are 2 openings. There's one name missing from this list. But I think I emailed you all about that. I don't know what happened. I think it was a typo. But you have the letter as well on this one. Okay.
You go.
I nominate Mark Main for the Recreation Commission.
I'll second.
All those in
All in
favor?
favor?
Agreed.
Aye.
Aye. Term, the second position.
And are you giving terms? Well, these, actually, if you read the bylaws, there were 3-year terms.
Just want to
Yeah.
Right.
clarify for all parties involved.
Yes, we need to make sure we're very clear.
Yeah, that was, if you read the bylaws, there were 3-year terms.
Right.
3-year terms. So there's 2 openings for 3-year terms on the rec commission.
I'll make a motion to Les Elder for the second position. For the 3-year term.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, next we have Economic Development Committee, and the terms are,
The terms are, those are staggered, so I have to look on that one. Check the bylaws.
I can grab my book.
Oh, grab them. Just gonna grab them. I think those are staggered.
well, in the meantime, while we wait for that, the library alternate.
I'll make a motion for Miranda Murray to.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have
A library alternate position, I made a motion to accept Miranda Myrie.
and I seconded it. The townhouse, how many, what was the term on that?
I have the 3-year terms. The economic development for terms of 3 years.
So we have 3 openings for 3 years?
Says, serving at the pleasure of the Board of Selectmen for terms of 3 years.
What's that for?
Economic development.
Economic,
Hear you guys.
Well,
Okay.
there's seats further up. If
And
it says the committee shall be, the townhouse, the Town Economic Development Committee, it's, the committee shall be comprised of 7 members appointed by and serving at the pleasure of the Board of Selectmen for terms of 3 years.
So, isn't one of these terms somebody resigned? So does
That is
that mean we appoint?
Mike's position is.
Mike's position should probably go for another year.
So I guess we really need to know all this to do this.
Which, well, do you want to do one? Mike did resign, you're right, so one of them would have 1 more year. Wait, do we have his resignation letter here? We don't have that. And he was I thought he was on until 2019. So we do 1 for 1 year, and the other for 3.
The other 2 for 3.
The other 2 for 3, yeah.
So are we sure that's correct?
Do you have the town report? I'll get it. I can tell by looking at the town report. Yeah, he was on until 19. So there's 1 until 19.
Yeah.
So 1 for 1 year, 2 for 2, 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 of the people here tonight that are interested. Do we want to ask them if they have a preference for a 3-year or 1-year term?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll start with Nancy.
Either one you can't fill. I'll take the one if it's easier for you guys.
Okay, thanks. Larry Brown, do you have a preference for a term on the Economic Development Committee?
I want to make sure that there are people available to do the work. I would prefer to take the one-year term because I would like new blood coming along. I absolutely want the committee to function.
Okay.
Take me as you will.
Thank you.
So I make a motion that to Larry Brown to the 1 year, Nancy Wing and Melissa Brown to the 2 3-year positions for Economic Development
I
Committee.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So, do we have appointment sheet?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
I'm working on
Okay.
Working through.
writing the little.
So we have 2 people here.
Now, what about the beach commission as far as getting them sworn?
Recreation.
Beach.
Recreation, correct.
So if we sign the appointment sheets tonight, we can then leave them at town hall with the town clerk, I believe, and they could come in and be sworn in by either the town clerk or Heather because she's the justice of the peace. Is the,
I'm good with
I
that.
think that works.
It's fine with me.
All right. Now, if Larry or Nancy wanted to be sworn in, once we get the appointment sheets filled out, I think just because we got a lot of stuff on the agenda, we'll keep going. We'll do it towards the end of the meeting if you guys are going to be here for the whole thing.
Lynette's here also.
Oh, Lynette. Sorry, Lynette.
You're hiding back there.
And Lynette as well. I apologize about that. All right. Next on the agenda, we're under new business now. South Shore Outboard Association Summer Kickoff. Steve Norrie.
Yes, I'm Steve Norrie from South Shore Outboard Association. We're seeking permission to once again conduct a 2-day outboard regatta in conjunction with the summer kickoff, June 9th and 10th. We've got 6 years behind us. Everything's gone swell. And we actually, we're not late on requesting this. We initiated it back in February, but for reasons which we don't understand, don't care to understand, we were directed to the selectmen to receive permission. Any questions? I'd be glad to answer them if nobody's, if nobody hasn't attended the event before. It's worked very well.
I have no problem with it.
No problem.
Heard nothing but good about it. So.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming.
The chief of police just said before he left he's very pleased with what they do. So.
Okay.
Chief of police just said he had no problem and he was very pleased with their services, what they do.
And actually, we have the fire department is on site as part of the kickoff, and they assist us because we're required to have safety services, and it's always been no problem with them either.
Excellent.
So I'll make a motion to grant permission to South Shore Outboard Association to be involved with the summer kickoff.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's something that we do in conjunction with the rec department. Is that?
Recognition.
Recreation Commission, that's why
Yeah.
they're here.
Yeah, I understand that, but I mean, now that it's going to be established, does
I
that?
believe they've probably already been talking to the rec commission, or at least the rec director. I don't know if we want to, I don't want to put her on the spot, but I don't know if she wants to comment at all.
What are you asking?
Well, I'm just saying, I don't, now that we have a rec commission, I didn't, in the past, I assume it's gone to the rec commission.
Correct.
So,
They had already, well, Sarah was present, she's one of your commissioners right here, and she wasn't against it, and the rest are no, so.
okay.
All right, good? Yep. Okay, next, Roger Libby permitted junkyard renewal.
Him?
All right.
I think most people know me. I'm Roger Libby. I own L Enterprises. It's the only licensed salvage yard in the town of Milton. So I'm going to read from this. Can you all hear all right?
Yeah.
Anybody not be able to hear? All right. L Enterprises has maintained an excellent working relationship with Town Code Enforcement Building Inspector Brian Boyers. I would like to personally thank Brian of all the building inspectors in 25 years of L Enterprise operation as a licensed salvage yard. Brian has always made himself available to answer questions and inform me as to any changes needed to best practice and recommendations. Brian also coordinated with the DEP person for this area and was told that L Enterprises is conducting a safe industrial operation within all required areas. L Enterprises has also applied and received construction of one cement area pad for attainment of material and receiving construction from the state of New Hampshire grant. Initiative program for salvage. Construction of 2 additional pads is pending. It was paid for by the state of New Hampshire at no cost or expense to the town of Milton, approximately $26,330.56. In addition, the state has provided $17,950 worth of equipment consisting of fuel bowsers, drill rigs, so that L Enterprises continue to operate in an environmentally safe manner, and again, at no cost to the town of Milton, but a great benefit in reduction of potential waste of products or potential cleanup costs. When the state of New Hampshire informed L Enterprises the schedule of pouring the cement pads had to be accelerated, it was required that the existing fencing be temporarily removed to allow the equipment to be brought on site. This was unfortunate, very short notice, and some salvage material had to move quickly out of the way for them to proceed with the installation. The sides and back of the salvage yard also contained substantial tree lines. Even the removal of the fence did not affect the look of the property, which is 610 feet from the original fence to the front of the property on Appleby Road, which is also maintaining considerable tree line coverage along the road. When the equipment was relocated to another section of the salvage yard, there was no notification by the town or to homeowners or business along the river that the dam would have an additional 2 boards added and could result in flooding. L Enterprise had thousands of dollars of equipment damaged and destroyed due to the flooding. The nature of the salvage and recycling requires that material be moved and held to determine the cost of profit. There are times when the market metal prices fluctuate up and down. Business must be ready to move when price is high. Currently, Blaney Auto Crushing is waiting for L Enterprises schedule his company to come in and crush the material and remove said material for sale. Blaney Crushing requires notice to bring in set up to do this. I, Roger Libby, Dawson Lively, owners of L Enterprises, and Joseph Belanger, manager, have no desire to expand the business areas of salvage yard, Joe. I have, in fact, been attempting to move and downsize as quickly as possible. Many on the board are aware that our family has suffered from a fire 5 years ago in our personal garage that was directly in front of the entrance of the salvage yard. Although this structure was not part of the business, much of the burnt equipment had to be transferred to the junkyard for inspection and disposal, as to not interfere with movement of the buildings and the cleanup before rebuilding. We have also had a fire in our primary residence 2 years ago that resulted in necessary to build a new home, since the fire damage was too extensive to save the building to be habitable. This is in addition to losing 90% of our personal possessions. Our family has suffered a continuation of medical emergency, deaths in the family, resulting in us becoming caretakers for an elderly parent. This has shifted our priorities focused on health and housing, while still trying to run a business day to day. In conclusion, Roger Libby has served the town in many capacities over 30 years, being active in the fire department, fire warden, police officer, ZBA board. I have cooperated fully with the New Hampshire State Police when theft from my salvage yard resulted in being me categorized an explosive expert. When it was determined that no explosives were ever taken into my salvage or stored at that time. I am more than willing to address any complaints that personally I would respectfully request that they be in writing so I can ensure that the answer is then completely. This is not sufficient for the board to recertify my salvage permit that I at L Enterprises have had for over 25 years, and I request a letter from the town attorney, Walter Mitchell and Associates of Laconia, to submit to the Environmental Strategic Engineering section at the EPA that this provided the pads and equipment for the grant program, why the town is denying or recertification of a salvage yard has been excellent standing within the town for 25 years. I will also request a future appointment be scheduled with the board, the town attorney, and potentially an attorney representing my business interests, and satisfactory conclusion to be reached. That cover it?
Buddy did.
I'm gonna give you a copy.
You're the best.
Give you that one.
Thank you. Give her this copy.
Huh?
Clean copy.
I got one.
I'm
I
ready.
went to- yeah, I agree. I'm not ready.
Here's one for you.
I want to see all of that before.
Anybody got a question?
Well, we did buddies.
Go.
I just, I mean, you just threw a ton of information at us that, yeah, I understand that. Now, what I'm
Okay.
saying is that's the first, I'm not ready to act on it tonight until I understand what's
That's
in
right.
that
Got
writing.
copies.
So I think that, you know, we'll get copies. My personal opinion is to get that copies of that to see, you know, you're talking about attorneys.
You're an attorney.
Well,
I
Roger, wait, this is our meeting.
I know.
I'm not saying I'm against it. What I'm saying is you've just thrown all kinds of stuff at us that we like,
Yes.
you know, I personally would like to digest, understand what you're talking about before moving on, so.
I spoke with the young lady, Andrea Kenna, that's running this patch today. And she said it needed to be, Joe, calm down. It needs to be, it needed to be on an official letterhead if you were going to respond to anything, and it needs to be through the attorney.
So-
That's what they want.
Well, that's what I'm
This
questioning, that's the only thing
doesn't
I'm,
expire until July 1st.
Right.
right.
So I think all the
Okay.
board is
That's what I'm saying,
asking,
is
if I'm
you-
understanding correctly, the
Yep.
consensus of the board is
Well,
we would like to
Yeah.
review what you just read to us.
Yep,
We're not saying
More than
one way or
welcome
another,
to.
we just want to review what we was just
yep.
read
The
off.
boys, can vouch that we've been abreast of everything that's going on. You know, he's been welcomed any time to come to the property and look, but it's just bad circumstances. You can't put stuff where the EPA are gonna deny you putting a pad in.
Okay. Can I interject on Roger's behalf? I'm Kimball Anjar. I've been with Roger as my partner, and most of you know me. The new business that was listed by the Board of Selectmen was to vote on the junkyard renewal, permit renewal tonight. Roger had prepared this information for the board and was told he didn't need to submit it beforehand because this was just a vote for renewal. So we asked the board to please vote on the renewal, and if there's a problem with the renewal, that the board let us know so that we can come back to the board with information regarding any problems that you may want us to address. Does that make more sense? I know it is.
I understand where you're coming from, but what I'm saying is, you know, you've just thrown a whole bunch of stuff at us that we've never seen before. And, you know, so we can bring it back in 2 weeks, or we can bring it back in a month and vote on it. I mean, but it's stuff that's just been thrown at us that we've never seen before. To go into it blind.
Right, but I'm asking if we had not shown, if we had not come before you with any of this information,
I can't.
you would have still voted tonight, correct? That's what the intention of the meeting was, to vote on the renewal of the junkyard permit.
Not necessarily. It's brought before us, but it's not necessarily that we would actually have voted on it tonight.
Okay. Then
I mean, it was brought on the agenda, but not necessarily for us to vote.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that comes through the agenda that we don't have any background, you know, then you have questions. You know, we've had 4 things in non-public that started before here that now we gotta go back. That's why
And
we
find
see them.
answers.
You know, it's an investigative to
Okay,
to
then we
cover
would
our
be-
butts. I mean, it's.
I understand, Mandy, I've been
So-
on enough boards in this town
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
and so is Roger. I would respectfully request of the board to set a date to vote on our junkyard renewal permit. And if in the event, in the meantime, you would like to request any information, give us a call. I'll type it up and submit it to you for Roger.
Okay.
But we didn't prepare much because for 25 years, it's never been a problem.
It's just been
This
a
is the
renewal.
first time in 25 years where we're seeing any problem. You know, after we've gone through all this work to get everything prepared, it don't seem right. When for 25 years, I came in fact, sometimes
Where-
even
I guess
where-
I don't
where are you
understand where
saying
the
there's a
problem's
problem?
coming from, because we haven't even said anything yet.
because it's a time constraint. The gal, Andrea Kenter, that heads up this program, wants the renewal so I can get on this year's list of pads. You understand the
Now I do, but I
Now,
guess
yeah,
we didn't know any of this, and we haven't even said anything,
Well,
and
originally,
And I'm not-
you're
we were
coming in
told
as if
that
we have a problem.
This was going to be exactly like it has been every year that we come in, and they say, the only thing that has changed was we added our son Dawson onto the junkyard permit last year?
Last year.
It was the last year or the year before, because he turned 21, and he is partner in the business with us, so we wanted to put him legally on that. That's the only change we've had in the status, and then we were notified of the vote, so we came in and we said, okay, well, we're gonna go in and they're just gonna vote to renew and everything will be good.
Well, but you have brought up things that, about this,
A lawyer.
the lawyer,
and-
no, and then the pads, I mean, okay, let's,
Well, Andy,
This was to head it off at the pass.
you
if there
drove
was
over
any
the pad when you
question.
came into the wood burning.
the who?
The wood burning, when they had a pile of wood burning way down back.
When
When you
the
came around
when the
the corner-
snowstorm and I couldn't
Huh?
see and they got hit, when I hit the
Yeah, you
junk
ran,
cards,
you didn't follow the other truck in, you hit
No, I
on the
drove,
pile of
I hit the
metal.
first one, so.
But that was the pad you drove over, that's the first one. You're more than welcome.
I know where
to
the
look at
first
it.
one is, because,
All right, so
Yeah.
I don't think we need to get in
All right,
a back and forth.
Okay, so can we get respectfully request the board to set a date to vote on the renewal, and if there's any information that needs to be attained before then? Or can we ask the board respectfully to take a preliminary vote? If there's not a problem, then there's not a problem. But if there's a problem, we would like to be able to address it.
Well, I'll put forth a motion to postpone the vote until we can read through the document that Mr. Libby read and say 30 days out, because when is it due? July 1st is when so say for the next the first meeting in June. Is that
That would be fine if we
Adequate.
could get it on the agenda to be voted on the first meeting in
Yeah.
June. So you guys would need
and if
to-
we have any questions in the interim,
before
then
the meeting,
we could
yes.
put forth questions through the town administrator.
the problem is the state, well, it's not actually the state, it's the EPA that has this other outfit that's doing it. And they have to have your license in this hand to be able to do that hand. Now, you know how the politics work.
So why don't I put forth a motion that we postpone it till the June 4th meeting?
So we'll have one more meeting before that.
Correct,
If
and
we
if-
need to discuss anything.
If we have any questions, we can have Heather
And
contact
I am aware of what he's talking about now, and I know for a fact that you've had the EPA permits,
Right.
because when I was fire chief, I got questions. I mean, that part, but it's the other stuff that's popped up, where, I mean, I know that you're set up down there. I know exactly as far as changing the oil on the vehicles, draining them,
Yep.
I understand that, 100%. It's just, now you've given this other paperwork that's come into the play just to cover our bases.
Yep.
So, I mean, I personally don't have any problem with anything
Yeah.
other than this thing that's just come up.
Well, we're trying to get it so, like you said, the first pad, that's one of the smallest, was $26,000. Trying to get the other two pads are probably more than that
Well, that's,
and stuff. And the sooner that we can hand in the paperwork saying
Right.
that we're legally okay.
fine.
the better
I
off
mean,
we
I
are.
know for a fact about the first one.
Okay, so I think
You all set?
we
Yeah.
still have quite a few things on the agenda here, so we gotta
Yeah.
kinda keep moving.
Yeah.
So we're
So
in
June.
agreement that
I put forth a motion for June 4th.
we're gonna,
Second
Take
it.
the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay?
Thank you.
Elaine?
Thank you. Next on the agenda, wastewater valve purchase and contractor bid decision. Dale?
Probably should have had this for your packet last week, but I didn't, so you get it now.
Thank you.
I was in February or early March, I guess, regarding the replacing 6 large 12-inch plug valves at the wastewater plant. They've all failed over the 30 years that they've been there. Need to get replaced for various reasons. At the time, the board at that time was basically in agreement to go ahead with the project, wanted me to come back with some pricing. I was able to find 3 valve manufacturers, which you have. The top one, I think, is DAV Engineering, was the cheapest. And I was also had 3 contractors come and look at the job to physically take the old valves out, put the new ones in, and SUR was the cheapest at that time. So I'm asking tonight for approval from the board to purchase those valves. It's 16 weeks out, so it's going to put me into, you know, early September maybe, depending on when they get here. Well, I still got time, so I'd like to purchase the valves tomorrow to get them coming, obviously, and then to notify SUR that they are indeed the contractor of choice, and start working with them as to how we're going to install everything and so forth. I still have a couple other things to do. I got to get a hold of the divers. There are 3 dive crews out there that I know of, so I can get competitive pricing from that, but it's not critical to what I need to get done today. And then I said miscellaneous fittings and that sort of thing. So for tonight, I just need permission to order the valves. Money's coming out of the sewer fund. It's like $600,000 there, so there's plenty of money to do it. And just so I can notify SUR to get on their calendar. Yep.
I make a motion to go ahead and approve it.
I second both proposals.
So in that motion, just mention the
SUR
company and the amount of
DAV
money.
Engineering and then SUR. SUR for 21,048 and DAV Engineering for 62,040.
You second it?
Second it.
All in favor? Aye.
A quick question, while they're doing this, is the fire hydrant that's there, is that something that can get fixed, seeing it's never worked since they put it in? Or is that just a dead issue?
It was actually mentioned by the current fire chief, and isn't anything about it.
Well, it hasn't worked since it was put in.
I can't, it's nothing wrong with the hydrant body itself. It's either the suction end of it, where it's in the lagoon, or something else. I need to have a fire truck and somebody to run the truck to come down to work through whatever issues they are. The agreement was if it was non-functional for either mechanically, which I don't think it is, or because the suction screen is clogged, or whatever it is, it was non-functional, he wanted me to take it out. If we can make it functional, then that's another choice, but I need help to do it. And he was supposed to come and help me, and I've never seen him.
Well, we'll reach out to him, but I know that when it was put in, I was on the fire, and it did not work from day one once it was put in.
We tried it to
right.
see if it was
I brought the truck down and tried, and it would not pull a draft, because when the house burned across the street, we sucked out of the lagoon. So just told everybody don't drink the water. So if we can get that hydrant working.
I'm more than willing to work.
Okay, I mean, I just saying, if they're going to be digging something up, if we can fix it, I'd rather fix it. So.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Dale.
All right,
Appreciate
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Okay, next on the agenda was the Water District Commissioner bonding permits Previously, just today, I learned that the Public Works Director wasn't going to be here tonight. So I had contacted Heather and recommended that this was tabled until the next meeting. And because it really has to do a lot with the Public Works, and I think I'm all for having the conversation personally, and I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I think we need to have all parties here. So they are planning on coming in at the next meeting.
The 21st.
On the 21st, so that's tabled.
So I take it that 9 and 10 is too?
No, I have to talk on
No.
those.
Okay.
I have notes on those.
All right, so next, we are going to move on to the LED light grant. That's meant, but Heather is going to fill in.
I'm going to try to fill in. I'm
you
not
talk
going to.
loud enough?
I'm going to try to talk loud enough, and I'm going to try to do somewhat. Pat has done a lot of research on the LED light grant, and he is really, I think, has already spoken to you about this. This would save the town a lot of money going forward, and this is an initiative he'd really like to move forward on. It would cost, to get going on it, would cost us $18,000 up front, and he would like the board's approval to move forward on it. We do have the option of doing it without the money up front. They would charge us 10% and take it out over 2 years, and what they're doing is at 10%, it's a 10% administrative fee. It would come out, be charged as part of our fee. This would cover all the buildings in town, and it would, again, it would save us a lot of money. Like I said, Pat really deserves all the credit on doing the work on this, and I know he really wants, he's trying to find creative ways to save us some money in this town.
So $18,000 up front, where is that coming from?
Well, that's something we've been looking at ways to find. I know he found some of it, and I've been trying to find some. It's not going to be as easy as we thought. The option is, like I said, to do the financing. Pat is not a person who likes to do a lot of financing, but you tell us which way you want to go, and we'll find a way to make it work.
Well, I mean, we need to know if we can pull the money from somewhere or not, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, before we make a decision, I mean, we either...
I want to see the line items that they're going to come out of.
I have some money I can put up. I'm a little nervous putting up too much from anything else because my budget was so tight last year. There wasn't as big an increase in our health insurance as I anticipated, so I know I could do $6,000.
And where does Pat think he can come up with some money from?
I'm texting him right now.
So there's a 10% financing fee?
Yes, for 2 years. We'll be gone after 2 years to do it. That was the other option.
So it costs $1,800, and it would be $9,000 a year, roughly. Is that
$18,000?
Well, $19,000.
All right, wait, hang on a second. $18,000 is the total project.
Mm-hmm.
And
We're gonna finance it over
what's
2
the
years.
payback on the total project?
2.13 years.
We get it all back in.
This was the packet he handed us at the workshop.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I don't know if you, but that's where I got this from.
2.13.
Mm-hmm.
If, I mean, you got the whole thing, but that's the summary page.
That's all right. I looked at it the other night.
I did too.
But I think we all want to try to save money for the town any way we can. This is a way we can do it. It's concrete.
So if we finance it, we're not
saving as during the first
saving as
2
much.
Right, in the first couple of years.
But
We still are saving.
We're still saving.
right. And I've always learned,
And the only-
if you
The other thing to remember too is this is competitive, that they have a certain pot of money and
Right,
it's first
only
come.
good for so long.
And
No,
every-
it's first come, first serve. If you don't, when that
Jump
money's
on it.
gone, that money's gone.
And here's the thing: is if we don't, we only save the 50% now with EverSource, so that's the key thing. So that was why timing is such a key issue.
Are we still purchasing our electric through Eversource, or have we gone to another outside?
We are with EverSource.
Have we looked at going into purchasing through an outside vendor?
We can't because of the solar garden, because we have an agreement. We can't because of the solar garden, because of the solar garden issue. Because we get a rebate. texting me back.
Well, will the
And-
solar garden pay for it? How's that? Take the money from what we're producing for
What
North-
money?
We
Wow.
got,
The electricity that's being produced from the solar garden obviously is going someplace, so.
In 3 years, we've had $12,000.
yeah, we got $12,000.
I mean,
Yeah, but I think that's a whole different.
I know,
He
but
said
I know,
it's
we
just-
gotta
Stay on
We gotta
task.
come up on money.
He
We
just
gotta
said
come
he'd
up
have
with-
to look. I just texted him. He said he'd have to look, but he's still texting me back. So
does he have any idea how much he can pull out of?
I don't know. That's what I'm waiting.
I just hate the word come up with money. It's like, you know,
Well, it's coming from somewhere.
right, that's what I'm saying. It's coming from
Well, I
someplace.
just told you where I
and-
could get it.
Do what?
I told you where I could.
Well, can we
quote
table
money.
this till later on in the meeting and
Well-
see if we get some other information from him with more
Yeah.
details so we can keep moving?
Okay.
So let me just ask this, and I think the consensus of the board is we want to go forward with the project.
I agree.
I think we all agree on
That's
that.
correct.
Okay.
We just need to know the details of
Where it's coming
Where the
from.
money's
if
coming
we
from.
don't do the 10% financing
Right.
option, where are we taking the money from?
If you're robbing Peter, is Paul gonna have a problem?
Right.
I'm texting him.
Okay, so we'll table this for right now.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is a parking plan and design discussion.
Okay.
I believe you have that information too.
I do.
What agenda is that?
We're on 10.
Well, I know you jumped around here a couple of times.
I know.
All right. Pat would like to know if you can go make a commitment on the parking plan, design, and purchase of the plan. He has different figures on it. I think you all I went out and looked at it. I think he took you all out there to look at the piece of property that we're talking about. And, you know, we're involved in looking at it and the money. I'm trying to speak up. I've got to work on this. I'm trying to talk to you, and it's hard. The cost for the parking and the purchases, I think he gave you a figure on that. The design of the parking with meets and bounds would be 25 to 30, and without is 15 to 20 without meets and bounds. But he really needs to wants the board to make a commitment on
And-
buying the land and moving forward with it.
Just to make sure that I'm remembering correctly from the workshop, the number was 400,000 with the assumption that 70% of that is ledge.
I thought it was closer to 500,000 with
So-
70% of it
Yes.
in pledge.
Correct.
Not including the purchase price of the land either.
I make a motion we table this till the next meeting.
I know he really did want a commitment, so.
So, I'll personally, my personal thoughts are, I'm all for improving parking downtown, but
we haven't got
I
time.
think this
Not to,
particular spot
It's
needs to
not.
be abandoned, and we need to look at
Right,
different options,
right.
because it's way too expensive
Right.
for what
Okay.
we have.
I
That's my
agree.
feeling on
I
it.
agree, I
don't
second
know.
that.
I still think we can do other things downtown to improve the parking, but I just think we need to look at
I
other
mean, if
options.
we looked at 20 Dawson Street, I mean, we're gonna probably own that, correct, this year?
Which one's
The
that?
blue house.
Across from
We
the
do own.
veterans.
Yeah.
If we
We
do
do
own
own
it,
it,
then
yeah.
how come we don't mow the lawn?
Hey, we gotta stay on
All right.
task here.
Anyway, well, there's
Or we'll
another
be here
question,
till
Pat.
10
Can you
o'clock
answer
tonight.
those
No, we
questions
won't.
from earlier?
Huh?
I got some text.
So, to give Pat an answer, the consensus of the board is we would like to improve parking, but we think this project isn't gonna work
Right,
for us.
Right, sorry, Pat. I don't
And-
want to go.
so do we need to make a motion to kill
I
that
make a
idea?
motion to move in a different direction.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I do think Pat did a lot of work on it. We need to say that he, you know.
Oh,
Thank you,
thank you,
Pat.
Pat.
We do appreciate that. He did put a lot of work into it, and
And we did have an engineer down in that area, so, you know, I think he was trying to
Right,
Yep.
expedite and make
expedite,
it.
make it a good move. Okay.
So now we're gonna go back to the LED light grant.
He wanted me to point out that it shouldn't stop them if we can't figure out where to go forward without the money for the 18,000. We can do it with no money because then we'd pay the 10%, and there's no penalty to pay it off early. That's what he's saying back.
Well, then,
Penalty to pay it off early.
Yeah. So there's
I
no
make a
proof.
motion to move forward with the new LED lighting.
I'll second that.
And
All in favor?
I
And just to be clear, that is,
Contingent on,
we're gonna move forward with doing the 10% finance fee.
correct.
correct.
It's not to be paid off unless it's
approved.
presented to the board and where the money's
It's
coming
coming
from is
from,
demonstrated to the board.
Yes.
okay, so we'll go with the 10% fee, and then if we can come up with the money, then we'll bring it to you and say this is how we're doing it.
Correct.
This is how we're proposing it.
Proposing to do it. It's our plan. We want your blessing.
Yes.
Good.
Do we agree?
Yes, I agree. But my other question, and I might have to go a different route on this because I know you're going to slap me down, but well, on the same note is LED street lighting. Is that something that's everybody else has done it? You know, as far as going to LED, why haven't we done it?
So I think that's something we should probably put on the
I'll put that on the next agenda.
For
No,
the,
no.
for the Board of
Goals.
Selectmen workshop
Goals.
on the.
Goals.
things to talk about
Yeah.
projects, the goals, right?
Well, no, I'm just saying if they have money at PSNH, sometimes communities have got it paid for 100%, so.
Okay.
But I'll have an answer for the next one, because I called my reps. Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, Durgan Fund request in Veterans Park. Michelle?
Hi, Michelle Goshen, representing the Friends of the Veterans. If you drive by the Veterans Park now, currently there is a 6x8 little flower garden on the embankment. We'd like to extend that to be 66 feet by 6 feet deep. We're looking to see if we can request some funds from the Durgan Fund, since you are the expending agents. We would like to request up to $1,500.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
How much is in the Durgan Fund? Number one, I guess. Do you have a clue?
I actually do.
Okay.
I thought maybe you'd have this before your meeting, but
No.
$86,000, $83,196. Of that, which is available, is $86.78.
How much is it?
$86.78.
And who's going to do the work?
Volunteers. We'll be getting the perennials at cost. We'll also be doing the timber around the outside of it, the mulch, and we'll set it up in a way that in the future can be expanded further if they want to go further.
I'll make a motion to, with the exception, wording in there that you talk to the person that mows around it to make sure that it's a.
We've already had those discussions with Pat. We've also had the discussions
Trust me.
with the, what's her name, gardener?
Who's a master guy.
The master gardener who's maintaining.
Is this,
those
this
gardens.
isn't, this is our property, this isn't state right away, is it?
This is not state right away.
Town-owned park.
Right, well, I know it's a town-owned park, but the state owns from the yellow line back a
I'll
certain
have Pat
distance.
verify, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that's part of ours.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you look, what's the
And if any of you
dollar,
want to volunteer and give us a hand, we'd be happy to have you out there.
what's the dollar figure from, you need from the Durgan Fund?
Up to $1,500.
I'll make a motion that we take up to $1,500 to the Durgan Funds for improvements at the Milton Veterans Park downtown.
Have they addressed the runoff issue that they're having over there with the dirt? When it rain-
I'll vouch for that because I saw Freddie Cameron was out there with a hand rake the day before yesterday, hand raking, and then he was going with his seeding and reseeded everything. So during that heavy rain, yeah, he did go back. So
Okay.
I saw him out there. I was impressed.
All right.
6 o'clock in the morning. Good job, Freddie. So
So we have a motion on the table.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
And can you let everybody know if anyone's interested that they should contact me at Town Hall? I'll be happy to take their name and phone number.
Yes. So,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, Recreation Commission concerns, Les Elder.
But he wrote it up for you.
Okay, you want to read it?
You read it, because you
I'll
can't
read it.
talk.
All right,
Which agenda number is it?
It's
13,
13. Or 50? 13.
right before meeting minutes.
As Les Elder. I did. Is this better? To the Milton Board of Selectmen, in March 2009, the Town of Milton residents voted to create a revolving fund for the Recreation Commission. The treasurer of the town shall have custody of all monies in the fund and shall pay out the same only upon order of the Parks and Recreation Commission. In October 1999, the town administrator proposed a merger of the Beach Commission and Parks and Recreation Commission and create the Parks and Recreation Commission 5-member board to be appointed by the Selectmen effective 1 January 2000. In 2017, the Recreation Commission only met in April and May. They have yet to meet in 2018. Article 9 of the Milton Recreation Commission bylaws that were adopted on 22 July 2013 requires the Commission to meet every April to reaffirm the bylaws. Since 2015, this has not been done for 4 years. After reviewing the expenditure report for the revolving fund for the Recreation Commission, it appears that expenditures are not being approved by the Recreation Commission as outlined in their bylaws. This is wrong. This is a violation of the bylaws, and this has to be corrected and stopped. Respectfully, Les Elder.
All right, any comments from the board?
I'd like to comment on it. I think there have been some issues with the Recreation Commission. I think there are issues that are being addressed. I think that we're moving on in a positive light with the Recreation Commission. I think that we need to set aside old transgressions, for lack of a better word, and move on from this day. I know everybody hates that word. I hate it too, but it fits. From this day forward, let's get the Recreation Commission moving in a positive flow. That's my comment.
I'll second that.
Well said.
Well put, so.
Thank you.
All right. Approval of minutes.
Gosh, we're that far right.
So, first we have April 16th, 2018 Scenic Byway Workshop.
I don't want to stay really excited.
I guess not.
Yeah, I saw nothing.
No, I'll make a motion to accept them as read. Written.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have the April 16th, 2018 regular Board of Selectmen meeting minutes.
I didn't see anything earth shattering that. I'll make a motion to accept them as.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And last, we have the April 18th Department Head Goals Workshop.
Was that a real survey?
There was a one-page,
Yeah.
In here?
Yeah, it's in here.
and then it had the marked up bylaws in there too.
Yeah,
it's
that was
before the
all
mark.
marked up.
It was basically just a list.
Yeah.
Got it. Motion to approve?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Do we have minutes to sign?
Of course. In your minutes, do you want the draft copy of your bylaws or do you want the marked up version?
Yeah, yes.
We you have the new bylaws we gotta fix.
Does the last page have no corrections on it?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Did nobody want to get sworn in tonight, or
Well, no, everybody that,
they already went out and did it?
no, we haven't done it yet. We can still do it. I guess what I'm saying is,
Okay.
I can swear them in.
Okay, right,
Cool.
I just wanted to
any of us can swear them in too.
Yeah, that's right.
get sworn in tonight.
My question, Ryan, was do you want the bylaws as this or the ones with all of your markings on them to be included in the minutes
The
as an
markings.
appendix?
Because the markings have the changes.
That's
But does
what
the
I was-
last page have markings, is what he's
Yeah, so
asking.
are you talking about the workshop minutes? Yeah, so exactly what you put in our binder.
Okay, good.
I think, right? Does the board agree with that?
What's that?
So the,
What she put in the binder?
yeah,
Not the ones that we marked up and,
right, not tonight, but the ones
Okay.
that we started with
Gotcha.
at the workshop,
Yep,
and we
that's
marked
fine.
all up.
I know.
Yes.
I write I broke his pinky.
All right, how are we doing on the appointment sheets?
We're done.
So would Larry, Lynette, and Nancy all like to be sworn in at this point?
So are you
Stay
able
off
to
camera.
sign off as approving
Oh,
the
okay.
appointment? But then she would fill, whoever swears them in officially would sign
Yeah, so
the
the
bottom. So you can
entire
still
board
sign,
How's everything been
signs here,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna sign for swearing them in.
right.
And then she's
But,
going to record it and sign only on the bottom.
In the
Right,
box.
but the absent members, you can sign off that you've appointed them.
I believe so.
Yes.
I think that's
That
what we're
was-
gonna do.
Right.
That was
My
my,
personal understanding.
yeah.
That's what I did the other day when I did somebody, when I did
Right,
you.
right.
So these are the absent.
Yes, all right, so if everybody getting sworn in would like to,
Come forward.
Come on, Andy.
He's not sure that he needs enough, he thinks he has enough members
On what?
on, right? On the board?
I can't speak, I'm sorry.
board all right with John speaking?
Yeah, absolutely.
John, you have the floor if you
Yeah, well,
would like
she's
it.
asking me about how many more members I need, and my response was, I don't need any more. And if, unfortunately, you people all being new, you're not aware of what's been going on for the last 4 or 5 years, there's a strict policy that was made by the Board of Selectmen and voted by the Board of Selectmen with a total of, like the town administrator said, 11. We have that many people now. They're in, some of them are in wheelchairs and stuff like that, but that's the reason why we had.
But they're not appointed, they're not sworn in.
Well, they were. They were.
Okay, so Heather,
I'll double check, but right now I only have.
But anyway, I don't want to interfere with what you're doing. It's just that I hope I don't hurt somebody out there now that comes in a wheelchair to help me, that's all.
Do you want me to wait? I can wait until you find out. I don't want anyone
If
pissed
you
off
got,
at me.
if you got people that haven't been sworn in, I would think the town administrator would be calling them, let them know. I would think that would be her job to do that.
I don't know who they are.
But what's
How
her
do I know?
appointment? I mean, how often are they appointed? Is it a lifetime appointment, or is it yearly? Is it something?
The 3 people that was appointed by the Board of Selectmen and sworn in 14 months ago. And for some reason or other, the paperwork didn't get through the town clerk thing. You all know this, you've all been involved in it, right? So now I stepped up and you asked me to be re-sworn in again. I said I'd love to, remember? But nobody said nothing to the other members. And
We
we're
don't
not
have-
meeting now because the townhouse is closed down because the town's got it in a financial bind right now. Don't get me going, please.
Why does the town have it in a financial bind? What do you need to get moving is what, I'm behind you 100%, John, with that town.
Effective last week, there's a lady that we hired for the town of Milton. Her name is Joanne Smith. If it wasn't for her, my finances for the townhouse restoration would have been pretty serious. It was serious enough so I was personally hiring a lawyer because this is private money. The people donated to John Cabot to do the restoration.
Correct.
And the numbers with the town hall was incorrect, like I said right along.
All right, so
But anyway, I don't want to get out
I
of
think
out
we're
of sequence
getting
here.
out of sequence a little bit. So I don't know what to do because I guess,
The only
I
person we
mean,
have is
I can wait, they can go. I can wait.
No, I just want to get this corrected. I mean,
So do
I
I.
mean, I look in the town report and I mean, I saw there was a balance in, I don't want to stop what he's doing. I
How many,
mean,
and nobody does.
nobody wants to
We're
stop
just
it, nobody
trying
wants to hurt
clear it all
anybody, and
up
nobody
because
wants to.
The town clerk has no appointment sheets for any of these people
Right,
in her
that's-
book.
that's-
And that's the important thing, is we have to have the
do
documentation.
you have the list of who it is and?
Yeah, I can put a list together.
So according to this
Which is last
report,
year.
which is last year,
Those are inaccurate. I'm sorry.
We don't have this.
okay, so I guess
Okay.
the problem is that's what we're going by because that's what,
Well,
that
that's what you're
town
making
hall.
your errors.
If we put you on the agenda for next, next meeting, could you get us back
I'd be
up?
glad to. I'd be happy to.
I'd be thrilled for you
Yeah.
to. So if we can get this uprighted and get the thing, another one back on the wheels so we can start
Again.
moving again.
I'm sorry. I know you're all new, but you got a long ways to go when you start. doing
Tell me
things
about
like-
it.
And before, and a recommendation only. And I'm gonna make it this time, and I'm only gonna do it once. If you're gonna make any changes on any project I'm working on, please call me. Don't do it behind my
Who's
back.
made changes?
I didn't know nothing about this.
I just signed up because
The committee don't know nothing about it.
All we're told is that there's an open position. That's all I know is up.
Who told you that?
it was at a meeting, I think.
Okay.
Was that a meeting?
Yeah, it was
Right
in
now-
the-
Well, I don't know. I mean, and say I'm new at this. I mean, look how many commissions we've had problems with that we're trying to straighten out. I mean, it's a mess we inherited. All right, we're doing our best to straighten it out.
And what we inherited has nobody in the appointment book in the town clerk's office.
Okay, so Heather would like to
Just
comment.
give me one more minute, please.
Okay.
There's a one thing that is a big concern for the townhouse restoration, and it's been specified clearly. And I got meeting minutes voted by the town fathers on everything I've done on that townhouse. And we don't have a board of selectmen on that committee, and we should have. Now, that's the thing you ought to be addressing.
What's in your bylaws?
We don't have bylaws. We never did have bylaws.
Okay, so I think we need to continue this conversation. But I don't know if right now is the correct time.
No, it's not.
Let's
It's not on
schedule you for the
agenda.
next meeting, is that
But
possible?
don't get worked up, please, and don't quit between now and the next meeting so we can
No,
straighten this out.
No, I
I
think-
can't believe that anybody would take upon themselves and do what I'm seeing going on here right now
Wow.
without calling me. If I was in charge, I'd make some changes on that.
Yes.
Okay.
Done.
I'm going by the stewardship plan for the historic structures owned by the town of Milton that was adopted and amended on October 7th, 2013. It says there should be a
Wow.
total of 11 people on it. So when we put together the town report, it became a problem when we were putting together the town report because what we were told is that we really didn't have many people on the townhouse committee. We only had 3 people, and according to this, we had 1 person on it for this year, that goes on it till this year. That's why there was that confusion with Mr. Catwick. We have since learned that there were some minutes that the town hall did not have that Mr. Catwick had in his possession, but they did not come into the town hall for whatever reason. But there wasn't an appointment sheet at the town clerk where things should have been. But he had that information. So that left us with 2. So if you take 11, you minus 2, you end up with 9 people that should be on this. That's all we can go by, is what the official records are, because that's what's available in the town hall. And when the Board of Selectmen asked us to fill these committees, which you did at your last meeting and advertise for committees with openings, that's what we did. And that's how we moved forward with it, because I was clearly stated that we did not have, we needed to fill all the committees that needed to have appointments. And so we did the research. Danielle and I both pulled whatever we could, and that's how we went forward. It wasn't to slight anybody, but we have so many committees and so many that had openings, we had to go forward with it.
So, are we holding off on Lynette, or are we seating Lynette?
You guys should make it clear first for him, you know, I mean, I can wait. And
All right,
because
so-
I want to be fair.
Well, whatever they want to do, I mean, I'll take all the help I can get.
all right.
That's
So
not
do
the
we,
point.
if
The
we're
point
gonna
is the way they're
take-
addressing it.
Okay, but it's all
It's
fixable.
incorrect.
But it's fixable.
if we're gonna table this, do we need to resend the previous motion?
Well, the motion was to post it. I don't know what
No,
the
not
the
that.
motion
The
was to
motion
appoint.
Oh,
appoint
yes.
Lynette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
we had a
again, I
table.
apologize
Don't apologize, it's okay.
Yes.
to everybody about this, because this was not intended to hurt anybody or cause any discontent between anybody.
And I
So,
don't think, we're gonna fix it, right? You guys are gonna fix it.
yes.
I do think
That's what we were doing.
we thought
Well,
we were
everything, I mean, everything is recorded with the town clerk.
Right.
All of our appointments are recorded with the town
That's where
clerk.
they have to be recorded.
Right, that's where they have to be recorded. I
If
mean,
they're not.
and if it, that's where we go by. That's
That's the
our,
official
Well, it
record.
sounds like there needs to be a
But if
correction.
that's
they're not-
our official record. If there's nothing there, then we,
You're exactly right. And that didn't get done because the Board of Selectmen didn't get the information to the town clerk. That's the problem.
which select?
Tom Gray.
All right, so let's table this.
Can you come to the, can we put them on the agenda for the next board meeting? Please, can you come to the next board meeting so we can,
And I will ask Nancy and Larry to come up to be sworn in. And I,
Do we need to rescind our motion?
For the record, tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, I'm going to be underneath the floor of the blacksmith shop at the Farm Museum. It's going to be a pleasure.
all right. If you could please raise your right hand or repeat after me. I state your name.
Lawrence D. Brown,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
Form.
all duties incumbent on
all the
me
duties incumbent upon me
On me.
as a and state
as a
As
one-year
Economic
Economic Development
Committee
Committee appointee,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeably to the rules and regulations
agreeably to the rules and regulations
Regulations.
of the constitutions and laws
of the Constitution and laws
of the state of New
State of
Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
So help me
So
God.
help me God.
as I do affirm under the payments and penalties.
Thank you and congratulations. And
Nancy.
now I need your signature.
welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Welcome to another committee. Another one, yeah.
Congratulations. So,
After you read it the first million times, it gets easier.
congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. A pleasure to report.
That's it. Thank you.
Here's y'all wondering if I quit smoking, so
Oh, is that?
if I'm chugging hard candy, it's because
So we all need to
You gotta
sign.
do
You
something?
want me to sign it?
I need to sign this one.
You need to sign it. We're losing.
oh, you're good.
No, every time I think about it, I'm on my phone.
I saw your LSU, Louisiana State University.
Yes, sir.
You're on record?
No, I didn't graduate from there, but I went there for a year.
All right. So we need to sign here.
Do you want to sign the absent?
No.
Yes.
Please. I just need the spelling of this
I was gonna
last
sign
one.
Andy's name
I
too,
think
just to make it
Larry would be able to tell
Larry
you.
would be
I think we have.
absolutely excellent
I'm
at that.
signing.
Is it,
Is it the way we
If not,
got
I
it?
know another.
Not
Larry,
yet.
The
I've
library,
been,
the library trustee, could you help us with the alternate library trustee?
Just the
did you
spelling.
send it to
Could you
me?
spell it?
Are you kidding?
No,
it's in the thing.
M-H-
it's not.
I don't correct.
I always put the H in the wrong place. Check your
It's that's not.
She didn't write it correctly.
Yeah,
We
but
didn't get
there's
the
been
original.
some issues with
I knew
attachments
there's
on
only
it.
5 of us seeing that one. So.
She left. Betsy, spell Myri. Or start easy. Spell Miranda.
All right. You need to sign that. What, do we lose Andy?
Do we need?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Because I want to make sure I do it correctly, but I don't know whether it H is or the R.
We'll sign all these.
We'll sign it.
We'll be in touch.
Okay, so do we want to take a 5? No, he's back.
Have a cigarette.
With all the consultants. That one first.
Take my pen.
Oh, gee, no, I didn't.
There it is.
Alright. Okay. Expenditure report. What are you doing now?
Trying to go.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have the expenditure reports.
Questions? Questions?
Any questions on the expenditure report?
Going through this, there's a bunch of lines that we're kind of pushing the envelope on, and I'm just going by percentages at this point. And, you know, professional services basically was 60%.
Some things we pay up front for the year,
I know,
you know.
yeah, I mean, I know like, yeah, the health insurance, you know, not health insurance, but your property liability, that's a fixed rate. I understand that. Those, as I go through, if there's anything that is staring out at me that we're good on, just say I'm good on it.
Postage.
Postage, where
TR
are
postage.
TR postage?
Mm-hmm.
Which line is that? TR postage.
It is page 2, down about a third of the way, 41,625. Did I get that right? Yeah.
Treasurer.
What's up with that?
Good question. Let me look into it.
If you back up a page, under the VA printing and copies,
Mm-hmm.
you're at 46% already.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to be all right there?
Nobody can make color copies. I'm hoping, yeah, I know you don't, but we've gone through a lot. Everything's getting charged to my mind.
So is that the problem? We're not using codes correctly? Or?
I think a lot of people aren't using codes.
So
We can work on
Speak.
that. People aren't necessarily putting codes in for part of it.
Don't they have to sign in to make copies? Aren't they assigned codes?
People have codes.
So
And then the
shouldn't
other
you be
thing
the only
is,
one that has the code for yours?
pretty much is building. That's one of the problems. The other problem is, there's been a couple other issues with we did the new copy. Sorry. We got a new copier this year, and what? Oh, we got a new copier this year, and we did have some upfront costs with that, so hopefully it will go down. I'll keep a close eye on it.
So what are we doing about the code issue though?
I'm gonna have to send a memo about the code issue.
Because we had that same issue last year, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But if they have a code, then you can go back and find out who is making all the copies, and they should be charged for. I mean, that's how it
Well, you
works.
can find out who they're charging them off to necessarily.
Well, no, I mean
Or who they're not. Well, the key is who's
Right,
not charging.
Not charging, right.
I think that's the key.
Right.
Who's not
Who's not
charging?
being
It's not
charged.
who's charging. It's
Right. It's who's not being charged. And you know they're using it.
So,
The software support, I'm assuming that's because they're, and it's on almost all, it's just because you paid for the,
we paid.
right, so.
All right.
How
Want to go
about-
page by page?
Okay, which page
So
you
we're-
on now?
I think we're good with page 1, right?
I was good with that one.
Okay.
I did.
Page 2?
Yeah, I got the, well, the TR postage.
Yep.
Yep.
We
Nothing
figured
else
that's
on that
probably a
one.
boo-boo.
And it just for the public record is, don't use the abbreviations, tell me exactly what we're looking at.
Okay.
Because half of them I
Yep.
couldn't figure it out.
So, page 3,
I got the, what is the AS support? Software support, is that a one-time fee or is that,
That was a one-time fee.
okay.
We're done.
And then government building supplies, down like the 5th or 6th line up from the bottom. We're already at almost 90%.
I'd like to check that number, but I need to talk to that department head.
Okay.
all right, so page 4.
Legal, I think that was on budget committee, I saw that meeting, questioned that one on,
The PD legal services, it's because, yeah, it's a lump sum paid out.
yeah. Oh,
The vehicle maintenance, we're in the negative.
Which line are you on?
PD vehicle maintenance.
I'll have to check with the chief on that.
Page 5.
fire department heat, we're at 92%.
Oil, winter lasted longer, I already asked that question. As part of the
Plus,
budget
but the
committee,
problem
it
was, well, the problem was is that system hasn't worked correctly since it's been put in, so.
And I asked a question on the fire department mileage travel, and that was because there's a $1.50 Massachusetts Easy Pass payment, and that was the problem on that one.
There's a what?
$1.50.
$1.50 for an Easy Pass in Massachusetts, so they put that.
Yeah, but
Page 6.
There's about 2/3 of the way down emergency management with
Yep.
all the hashtags.
I
Question mark there.
think that number just didn't.
There's a couple more where we, I think on the next page.
Try to see what happened with those numbers. Sometimes.
All right, so page 7.
Yep. When they
Okay.
go negative, sometimes that happens.
And that professional services, that first one with the hashtags on the highway, that was because of a physical. A DOT physical. That was that.
But the hashtags should be corrected.
Correct.
Yeah. Page 8.
But these are questions that I asked
Before.
of Vanessa, so.
And then, were we on page 8 or are you on
Yep.
still on 7?
No, we're on
On page 8. RE, which is rec, is that rec salary part-time?
Where is it? Page 8. Hold on.
I mean, is that, alright, well, I guess we'll wait for the rec department to get, because salaries come out of the commission, is that correct, or does that come out of this budget?
No, the rec, sorry, the rec director and the assistant director come out of this budget. The other salary lines for like the camp comes out of the commission.
So we're halfway spent, and we haven't even started the beach season?
do you think there's
Page 9?
9? There's more hashtags.
Yep.
Recreation miscellaneous, is that the?
It is pulled. I think that was pulled after those. There was I think we talked about that.
There was an error.
Doesn't that have something to do with a conference? The conference they go to,
This,
it's supposed to come out of next year's budget, or it comes out of the previous budget. I thought there was some issue with a conference that they went to.
do you remember, I think I think this figure is actually, depending on what time, when this was pulled.
May
When this was
4th.
pulled, May 4th. There was some bills that came in last week, and then we decided
Okay.
to pay through the miscellaneous line.
Okay, all right.
That's what that is.
Okay, gotcha.
Will that be adjusted?
It's up to when the rec commission is
Okay.
seated.
All right.
You good to that?
Do you need a motion on those or no?
It's just.
Okay, next on the agenda, administrator comments.
Okay, I have a request, or a plea from the town hall and from our recording clerk to please do not remove draft minutes from the board in town hall. People come in sometimes and remove the draft minutes. You're welcome to review them, to look at them. They are posted here the draft minutes are posted here at the town hall. But it's essential, we could be violating the law if draft minutes are taken. We have to have draft minutes posted within 5 days. And frequently those minutes seem to have legs and go walking out the door. So, again, please do not remove draft minutes. If you need a copy, that's one thing. But the draft minutes all too often seem to be walking out the door, and then we're in a situation where we could get into trouble. So again, we're happy to make copies, but draft minutes need to stay posted. I'd like to congratulate a new police officer that recently graduated through the police officers training, and that's Ryan Clark. So welcome him to the police department. Going through that training is intense, and I'm sure he'll make Milton very proud. So that's a big accomplishment, and we definitely need skilled people who are committed to serving the community like that. I also want to congratulate our fire chief, who just finished a special training in Washington, D.C., Chief Marik. Thank him for serving the town and working so diligently on always going forward for additional training. The auditors were here last week. We had a very busy week with them here. That kept the town hall buzzing most of the week with running for this and running for that. Very nice people. I'm sure they'll be back again. They're working on the regular town audit and checking into a few things, but things are going smoothly and getting all the paperwork for them. We're in the process, as many of you know, with switching banks. That's keeping us busy as well, and the auditors have been helping us as well as the new treasurer, but it's been very busy here at town hall. We have a new time clock here at town hall, so that's happening. And then what else? I think one thing we need to talk about as a board is how the board really needs to address on how we identify what the proper time start is, and I think we were going to talk about that tonight on meetings, just so in the issue of transparency and when is the right time for people to come, because we love to have people here, otherwise it's very quiet in here, but we also don't want you sitting out in the hallway either. Other than that, next couple days, I'm at a conference tomorrow and Wednesday. Danielle's at a conference with me tomorrow. And that's what's going on here at the town. So, thank you.
So before we go to selectmen comments, if the consensus of the board is we'd like to just have a quick discussion about start time of the meetings, I'd like to do that.
Why don't you explain it loudly, please?
All right.
Have a cigarette.
So, and please feel free to let me know if I'm missing anything. I'll go back to historically, I think how it was being done was there'd be a non-public starting at a certain time on the agenda, and then there'd be another time when the public session would start. From the conference that we attended, when you have to open the public meeting before you can go into non-public. So technically, when you start that meeting, say the non-public was going to start at 5 o'clock, you're actually opening to the public meeting, and then you go into non-public. So the problem becomes if you put a start time of, say, 6 o'clock, that you're going to really just be back in public session. The non-publics are very difficult to judge on how long they're going to take. So what we've been doing is just saying the meeting starts at 5 o'clock, which it does, how many non-publics there are, and it could start at 6, it could start at 5:30, it's hard to judge. I don't see a problem where if we wanted to put, say, 6 o'clock was when the public session was going to start, we could put that on there. But then we gotta, if the non-public started at 5 and ends at 5:15, we gotta wait till 6 o'clock to start. It's kind of a catch-22. You do the non-publics at the end of the meeting. Sometimes you're involving town employees, so you're asking them to come in really late, so it doesn't work for that. So I'm asking the board what
Our thoughts.
your thoughts are and how you would like to proceed.
I mean, I personally do, I know we have to post them for 5 o'clock. I understand that, open them. But I hate to see people come, I've seen non-publics where I come and sat out there until 6:45 when it's posted as a 6 o'clock meeting. I mean, I think that we can look at our non-publics and say, all right, we know, we can probably judge and try to get a happy medium where we're going to stop at 6 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? It just, I feel bad for everybody that's got to sit out in the peanut gallery. You can't come in for, but I know legally we have to post a meeting, so I mean, if we can do due diligence with our non-publics to stop them at, I mean, you know, 5 past 6, I guess they probably could live with that. But for somebody to sit out there till 6:30, 6:45 for a non-public, which I know has happened in the past, which is not fair. So
I agree.
Yep. Okay. So we'll judge.
And there's no reason, it might say we have 2 that are dealing with employees type things, right? So we get that done. And we have one more thing, but it's 10 minutes after 6. There's no reason why we can't pull that to the end. Is that correct? So I think.
So we should post for 5.
I think we need to post for 5.
Or 5:30, depending on how many we
depending
have.
upon what we're going to have.
And then we'll put the time in
On the
that we're gonna
agenda,
start at
the public.
6 o'clock for the rest of this.
Right.
Or whatever the time may be. I mean, it may be 5:30 or whatever.
Right. And I think that people will understand if we should finish up sooner.
Right. And we do, every time we go from one non-public to the next,
We announce.
we have to announce that we're coming out and we're going back in, and we do that.
Right.
Sometimes there's people here, sometimes there's not.
I just wanted to
but
check
we doing everything we can to be under 91A.
Can you update the calendar? So that's where my mistake was. I look at the calendar and I can't tell, you know?
Yes. We need to keep the sign out front, the calendar, and the agenda. They all need to match.
Page.
So, all right.
You get electronic board for fun? Probably not in this budget, but maybe next year.
I was going to say.
But that should be.
Maybe we can find a grant.
So now
you
let's
find a grant for 10,000.
move on to selectmen comments.
I would like to thank everybody that helped with the cleanup and the job that the Public Works Department did. Totally 100% disappointed in how quick it went right back to, I picked Elm Street. I had 12 bags on Elm Street, and I know a kid had picked up the corner prior to my going, and I still got 4 bags off the corners, and I bet I can go get 4 bags again today. It's just, thank everybody for the job they did, but it's just total disappointment to go back and see what you did, and then take your garbage home with you, folks. Jeez. And I think I made a statement, is between Anheuser-Busch, Cumberland Farms, and Dunkin' Donuts, they should contribute to the cleanup, because I think that was 90% of the stuff I picked up. So, but it's aggravating, but thank everybody for stepping up and making the town look decent. So that's all I got.
Reiterate that. I think everybody came out. I think they did a great job. I think Public Works did an awesome job with the barbecue and picking up all the trash in a timely manner, just going out and checking on people, etc. I think we should do it in the fall. I think before winter sets in. I hope Pat's not listening. I think that we should do it in the fall before the snow covers everything, and I mean, that's my feeling, but I just think it would make things look better before it's all covered by Mother Nature. I also want to put forth, I know you guys are not going to like this, we kind of tentatively have a workshop scheduled for prior to the meeting on the 21st. I think it's important. I think right now what I'm having a hard time with is with all of these issues with the boards and the commissions and all of these things, we need to get all of these things resolved. And we need to do it in a time. Here we are, what's it been, almost 2 months since the election, and things are still not as they should be.
They're getting better.
They are. But I personally, I'm kind of having a hard time with it not being smooth. We're spending so much time on dealing with that and trying to make that better, that is taking away from other things that we could and should be doing.
Well, we're reinventing the wheel that
Bless you.
should already be in place. I mean, it's,
I agree. The appointment, all of those things, I agree. But I think we need to push it and get it done. And if it means to have an extra meeting to get it done, I really think in the best interest of us and the town that we need to do it.
So we're down to.
I'm not getting a warm fuzzy here.
No,
I agree with you.
I agree with you too.
I agree.
Are you saying we need another meeting?
I think especially in light of what was brought up this evening. I mean, that really needs to be addressed and covered.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then again, you've got the Historical Society. That's another one that's going to be
right. And that was one of my selectmen comments.
I'm kind of thinking that can kind of
I am careful with that.
Blend a little bit.
Okay, so it was certainly on a whim this weekend. I get a phone call from somebody in town and said, if you can, take a half hour and take a ride at the Historical Society now. So I went over there. That individual actually picked me up, and we went over there. And my opinion, we need to help them. There's a group there that their heart and soul has been in it for years, and I think they're at a point where they're not sure what to do next. And they need help. So I think that we should set up a workshop session, maybe have it right over at the Historical Society, between the Historical Society and the Board of Selectmen, so they can just let us know the history of it, where they're at, and
What they need.
what they need, and maybe what we need to do to help them move forward. There's some building issues down there that need to be taken care of, and I don't think they have the funds to do it, but I don't want to get into the nitty gritty, but I think if we as a group could go down there, sit across the table, talk to them, and as a team come up with some plan on what we're going to do.
Fine.
I believe they contacted you today, correct?
They did. They asked me for an agenda. I'm sorry. A very nice lady called me from the Historical Society and talked to her for a little while. I ended up sending her an agenda request form, and she's going to get it back to me by our next meeting as to dates when she'd like to meet. So that's how we
Is
know.
there a committee of the Historical Society?
There is a committee. I need to get whatever Michelle has for records on that. I have not gotten that yet from her.
So instead of putting her on an agenda request, can you ask that the board is, I mean, like consensus of the board is we want to have a workshop with them.
Do you want to do it there?
And
So when she comes
unless, leave it up to them.
Okay.
Tell them we're willing to do it there or here, whatever is more convenient for them, whatever they'd like to do. Is the board okay with that?
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So, as soon as I get, like I said, I mailed her the form. She seemed very happy with that. When I get it back, I'll give her a call and say, you know, give me, what would you like? And if she gives me some dates, we'll go from there.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So
By the way,
whenever-
I put that fall cleanup thing on my list of things to do too.
So are we going to try to have another meeting before the next meeting about, it looks like we're down to basically the Townhouse Stewardship Commission is the biggest issue we have right now. And we're not really sure about the Historical Society because we haven't done any research on it yet.
And I think that's a meeting that John Catwick needs to come to. I
Right.
think that we need to sit across from the
So-
table from Mr. Catwick and say, what do you need? Where are your people? If they're not sworn in, let's get them sworn in, etc.
So we told him we were going to do it the next meeting
Yeah.
So wait.
before he left. Are we going to stick with that?
Yes. I want to move on it. I mean,
Okay.
if they got some financial issues and things that they need to deal with, I want to get moving on it.
All right.
We need to know who those people are. I think
Right.
that's the part of the problem we're
Right.
having.
Okay, so I got one last comment. I just wanted to thank everyone that applied to the different commissions and committees. Appreciate the application. And that's it. So on that note, any other business from the board?
Motion to adjourn?
We didn't get to that one last non-public.
Oops.
Make a motion to go into non-public.
Second it.
91A, colon 3, 2C.
Yeah, whatever.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you
Put up the
guys
computer before you go.
for staying
I'll see you
awake.
tomorrow morning.
Thank you.